नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हुकुम करोति वाचालम पंगुम लंघयते गिरिम यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवम श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरम। Hare Krishna, welcome all. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Give me 1 second. 3.2828. Wonderful. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोकैर्भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपाकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। We are reading Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, Chapter 28, verse 28. कौमोदकं भगवतो दयितं स्मरेता दिग्धामारति बत सोनिता कर्दमेना। मालं मधुव्रता वरुता गिरोपगुष्टम् चैतस्य तत्त्वम् अमलं मणिम् अस्य कान्ते। कौमोदिकं भगवतो दयितं स्मरेता दिग्धामारति बत सोनिता कर्दमेना। मालं मधुव्रता वरुता गिरोपगुष्टाम् चैतस्य तत्त्वम् अमलं मणिम् अस्य कान्ते। कौमोदिकं भगवतो दयितं स्मरेता दिग्धामारति बत सोनिता कर्दमेना। मालं मधुव्रता वरुता गिरोपदुष्टाम् चैतस्य तत्त्वम् अमलं मणिम् अस्य कान्ते। कौमोदकीं भगवतो दयितं स्मरेता दिग्धामारति बत सोनिता कर्दमेना। Malam madhuvrata varuta giropagashtam. Chaityasya tattvam amalam manim asya kante. Word by word translation. Kamodakam. The club name Kamodaki. Bhagavataha. Of the personality of Godhead. Daitam. Very dear. Smareta. One should remember. Digdam. Smeared. Arati. Of the enemies. Bhata. Soldiers. Sonita Kardamena. With the blood stains. Malam, the garland. Madhuvrata of bumblebees. Varuta of a swarm. Gira with the sound. Upagushtam surrounded. Chaitasya of the living entity. Tattvam, principle truth. Amalam, pure. Manim, the pearl necklace. Asya of the Lord. Kante, on the neck. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The yogi should meditate upon his club, which is named Kaumodaki and is very dear to him. This club smashes the demons who are always inimical soldiers and is smeared with their blood. One should also concentrate on the nice garland on the neck of the Lord, which is always surrounded by bumblebees with their nice buzzing sound, and one should meditate upon the pearl necklace on the Lord's neck, which is considered to represent the pure living entities who are always engaged in his service. Purport. The yogi must contemplate the different parts of the transcendental body of the Lord. Here it is stated that the constitutional position of living entities should be understood. There are two kinds of living entities mentioned here. One is called the Arati. They are averse to understanding the pastimes of Supreme Personality of Godhead. For them, the Lord appears with his hand clutching the terrible mace, which is always smeared with blood stains from his killing of demons. Demons are also sons of Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, all the different species of living entities are sons of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are, however, two classes of living entities who act in two different ways. The Supreme Lord keeps on his neck those living entities who are pure, as one protects the jewels and pearls on the bosom and neck of one's body. Those living entities in pure Krishna consciousness are symbolized by the pearls on his neck. Those who are demons and are inimical towards the pastimes of Supreme Personality of Godhead are punished by his mace, which is always smeared with the blood of such fallen living entities. The club of the Lord is very dear to him because he uses this instrument to smash the bodies of the demon and mix their blood. As mud is kneaded with water and earth, so the earthly bodies of the enemies of the Lord or the atheist are smashed by the club of the Lord, which becomes muddied with the blood of such demons. We welcome you all for today's Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. Sorry for the surprises. My master is not here, so I'm trying to speak on this topic. I seek all of your blessings, especially Bhagavat Acharya Prabhu. When we say Bhagavatam is a Amalam Puranam, there has to be a qualification which is needed to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, which I do not possess. So I seek at your lotus feet that please bless me so that we can discuss the Srimad Bhagavatam Katha, especially today's verse, Canto 3, Chapter 28, Text 28. We have been discussing in this chapter about Lord's paraphernalia and their significance. We are also specifically mentioned about their names and the glories of those wonderful paraphernalia of the Lord. Paraphernalia of the Lord is not different from Balramji. So we seek blessings from Lord Balramji Nityanand Prabhu so that we can use this opportunity to glorify them, to glorify him. Right? So in this beautiful verse, Krishna is saying, in this beautiful verse, Sukadeva Goswami is saying the yogi should meditate upon his club, which is named Kamodaki, is very dear to him. Now, this club is used to actually kill the demons. That is one aspect which is being specified. There are three aspects which are covered in this verse. First aspect is when we talk about Kamodaki, the club, that is used to kill the demons. And one should also concentrate on the nice garland on the neck of the Lord. So this is the second aspect which is being focused on the garland of the Lord, which is always surrounded by bumblebees with their nice buzzing sound. This is second aspect. The third aspect which is being covered in this verse is one should meditate upon the pearl necklace on the Lord's neck, on Lord's neck. This is third aspect. And what represents the pearl necklace is being mentioned here, which is considered to represent the pure living entities who are always engaged in service. So these are different aspects of the verse being discussed here, which is a pure devotee. My focus on this verse is specifically talking about the last aspect, which is considered to represent the pure living entity, the pearl necklace on the Lord's neck, which is considered to represent the pure living entities who are always engaged in service. So when we take the beautiful darshan of Shri Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha, we see there is a beautiful garland and there is tons of work goes behind identifying the best flowers and then colorful flowers with the right combination, which goes along with what dress Shri Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha is wearing. Now here it is mentioned that the garland which is being made, which is always surrounded by bumblebees. Generally, bumblebees run behind the flowers. Why they go behind the flowers? Because there is a honey. They want to extract the honey out of these flowers. But when these flowers are disconnected from the plant, ideally in the material plane, there is no honey left, right? Because it's not connected. Yes, Prabhuji, I heard that. It is cancelled. The bumblebees, even though the flowers are disconnected from the plant, they still run because now they have a wonderful opportunity to be in association of the Lord. Right? And same way when we talk about the pearl necklace, which is decorated with Krishna and his pure devotees. What is the difference between Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam? Bhagavatam is about Krishna and his devotees. We read so many chapters, so many cantos specifically glorifying different devotees, how they went through different struggles in their life and they achieved the perfection of their life. I was just hearing my spiritual master's class since last few days. This is 3.5 hour class, which is specifically Jai Shri Radha Gopi Jana Bhagwan ki Jai, Shri Nitayapati Tapana Gaura Hari ki Jai. The class is titled as Don't Become the Prisoner of Your Own Success. Very powerful class. And on top of it, when I hear this beautiful katha about King Chitraketu and then Vritrasur, this whole class is actually covering multiple chapters from Canto 6, talking about Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj discussing about or talking about King Chitraketu and Vritrasur. Right? So there is one aspect to actually understand how do we actually at the end of the life, the whole idea is when we talk about Bhagavad Gita chapter 8, which is talking about attaining the supreme. That chapter is specifically talking about the process of dying. Now that sounds very pessimistic when we use the word dying, because we think about oh, you know what, that is something which everyone wants to run against. But that's the reality. Any product in this life, any product you see around, that is a manufacturing date and expiry date. And similar way, of course, we are not a product. We are living entities who is supposed to remember Krishna. We also have a birth and death. So we, at the end of the day, we want to leave. But when we leave our body, what is the goal of our life? This is what is being mentioned here. that which is considered the Lord's neck, which is considered to represent the pure living entities who are always engaged in service. So currently we are, at least I talk about myself, I'm at the conditioned state. And the goal of my life is to purify myself by coming in association of such pure devotees who are always hung on the pearl necklace of the Lord. And by following their footsteps, I perfect my life and aspire to actually be there. I was just thinking about Color Fest, which is coming up tomorrow, and just went 1 year back. When we talk about time, Krishna says, time I am. With time, everything is destroyed. Even when we are living, different parts of our body or different things in our body are destroyed and recreated again until we come to an end, at least on the bodily platform. So I was thinking about the Color Fest last year. There was a soul who was very, very dear to my heart, was struggling to breathe, struggling to live, struggling to walk. And when I was just reading continuous requests to different devotees to pray and mentioning about a difficult material condition, and I'm not able to breathe, can you please pray for me? Then Sundari was writing everyone, I'm really struggling, it's very difficult, I'm not able to even go to the bathroom. Now within 1 year, everything has changed. In a positive way, that struggle is gone. At the end of the life, the whole idea is to please our spiritual masters, and by their mercy, we attain the supreme abode of the Lord, where we can serve Him and the beautiful deities of Shri Radha Gopijana Vallabha eternally, beyond this bodily conception of life. So when we talk about becoming or following the footsteps of pure living entities who are like pearl necklace on the Lord's neck, one aspect is to aspire to reach there. Second aspect is to practice that, and at the same time just making sure we don't deviate from that path. In this class which I was hearing, this is a beautiful discussion about Chitraketu Maharaj. So Chitraketu Maharaj, I don't want to discuss the whole pastime. We have been talking in multiple Sunday feasts. Yugal Kishore Prabhu covered in one Sunday feast. Then Jai Sachinandan Prabhu covered about him. So I don't want to talk about the whole pastime, but I want to highlight few points which are connected to this verse, and specifically to the point that the goal and then the medium, and do not get deviated from the medium. So King Chitraketu Maharaj is looking for a son, and he gets the son and he leaves. And he is mourning for his son. And Narada Muni and Angira Muni comes and enlighten him. Now, very interesting aspect which was covered there is, Angira Muni and Narada Muni came before as well. Angira Muni specifically. And what he was asking the welfare of King Chitraketu. And Chitraketu specifically mentioned that he is looking for the son. He told him, in this life, you do not have son. But he said, I have a sincere desire. Please, this is something I want. Now at that time, because he was yearning for the material desire, he was trying to fulfill his material desires. At that time, when the spiritual knowledge is given, it does not penetrate the heart. However, when his son is left, and the same instructions now, the spiritual instruction is being given by Narada Muni and Angira Muni. Now, because the land is fertile, the heart is fertile, he was ready to accept that instruction, and that transformed his heart. And not just his heart, but actually, when all the queens who actually killed the child, they were also transformed and they realized their mistakes. This class was beautifully mentioning different aspects, because Srimad Bhagavatam covers, there is a book Bhagavat and Person Bhagavat. The Person Bhagavat is basically sharing their realization. My spiritual master was sharing, the queens of King Chitraketu, they were not demonic. But because they were being ignored, right, by their husband, they came in contact with their material desires, thinking about, you know what, we are being ignored. Right? When we hear about Trinadapi Sunichena Tarurapi Sheshtuna Mamanina Manadena Kirtani Sadari, not expecting any respect. Now that's a very high platform. So these queens, because they are not at that platform, they are still devotees. However, because they are still connected on the bodily platform, they actually perform some act which is not exactly aligned, which is actually really sinful. And they themselves are now transformed, and Chitraketu is transformed, and Chitraketu is being guided by Srila Narada Muni how to actually receive the personal darshan of the Lord. So he is given the path to actually see the beautiful darshan of the Lord. And within few days, by practicing that, he gets to see Lord face to face. He beautifully glorifies the Lord and then shares his position to wonderful take a darshan of the Lord. He is extremely grateful to the Lord. And with that, the Lord leaves from that scene. What happens after that? Now we're talking about one is a goal and second is not deviating from the goal. My spiritual master mentions he became proud. He became proud. And what happened with that pride? When he saw Lord Shiva is giving a discourse on renunciation while Mother Parvati is sitting in his lap, there were two parts. One was his intention was to think about Lord Shiva should not represent them because there are so many Vaishnavas following him. He should not mislead. However, he utilized his position thinking that, I personally took the darshan of the Lord to correct Lord Shiva. Right? Now, this is very important at the stage of practicing devotional service, whatever we practice, sometimes we come to a stage where we have some realization, like Yugal Kishore Prabhu was beautifully mentioning, where by being in the process after a few years, anybody can give the class. Now, what happens is, when I come and sit on the Vyasasana, I feel I'm authorized to correct someone. I remember there was one devotee, I don't want to quote the names here. He very, very dear friend of mine, he asked for some suggestions. And I actually thinking that, oh, you know what, I can correct him, and I actually gave him correction. Next day onwards, for 1 week, I was struggling in chanting. I was thinking maybe I'm not taking rest properly, I'm doing something wrong here. But later I realized within that week, hey, hold on. I did this, probably this is something which is impacting my spiritual life. And I beg apologies and beg forgiveness from that devotee. And after that, somehow my rounds came on little rhythm. So here, Mother Parvati becomes angry and curses King Chitraketu. And very interestingly, she curses saying that, my dear son. Now that's a very interesting perspective. None of the parents, give a kind of a slap to their children saying that, oh, you know what, my dear son, I want to give you a slap. No, it doesn't happen like that. So Mother Parvati is saying that for correcting him, saying that he should not repeat the mistake. And how King Chitraketu is taking is, he is offering obeisances. It is said in the scriptures in Srimad Bhagavatam that King Chitraketu was capable to counter curse which Mother Parvati gave. And there is another pastime which is happening in 5th canto, talking about King Daksha being, chastising or speaking wrong words for Lord Shiva. And there is so many counter curses happening in that arena, Now here we see King Chitraketu was capable to do that. However, he did not curse Mother Parvati. He accepted his position and begged forgiveness. And then he specifically talks about the impact of the time. He says, it's not your fault, neither my fault, but it is just the arrangement of the time that I'm being given this curse. And then he is cursed to actually become a demon in demon family. Now, this is very important because when we hear Ajamil's pastime, he repented for his sins. And then he was given an opportunity to correct himself. And then he went back to Godhead. Here, King Chitraketu and Brahmaji speaks about this verse, saying that what is the qualification for the someone who can go back to Godhead? He accepts whatever comes by Krishna's mercy. So King Chitraketu is offering that wonderful prayer that, I accept whatever has been given. So he is completely at the liberation platform. But by inconceivable mercy of the Lord, he is taking the roop of Vritrasur. Right? So this is what I was talking about. When we are on the path of devotional service, we need to be mindful at every step that I do not get distracted by different ways. We just talked about one thing here, which is correcting a pure devotee, right? Or correcting any devotee per se. It's very important that we want to get there. Now, the second thing which I want to talk about is, what is the qualification of the devotee? What a qualification of the devotee who can be a pearl necklace on the neck of the Lord. So I want to quote few beautiful verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, which are very important. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 11. These are the prayers of Vritrasur. Now, in this verse, we have been reading, it is talking about demon. Now, this is when we talk about the demon from that verse perspective, it is not by birth, or it is not by, it is not by the birth, it is by the qualities. Here, Vritrasur, who is a demon, but apparently the reality is not a demon. He is not a demon, and that is what Sukadeva Goswami is clarifying to Parikshit Maharaj. And he talks about Chitraketu's example. So Vritrasur is offering this prayer to the Supreme Lord. He's saying, by the force of your, he's telling to Indra in this verse, text 21, by the force of your thunderbolt, I shall be freed from material bondage and shall give up this body and in this world of material desires. Fixing my mind upon the lotus feet of Lord Sankarsana, I shall attain the destination of such great sages as Narada Muni, just as Lord Sankarsana has said. Text 22, beautiful verse. Persons who fully surrender at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and always think of his lotus feet are accepted and recognized by the Lord as his own personal assistants or servants. The Lord never bestows upon such servants the brilliant opulence of the upper, lower, and middle planetary system of the material world. When one possesses material opulence in any of these three divisions of universe, his possession naturally increases enmity, anxiety, mental agitation, pride, and vigilance. Thus, one goes through much endeavor to increase and maintain his possession, and he suffers great unhappiness when he loses them. The most important verse of the day. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, will I again be able to be the servant of your eternal servants, who find shelter only at your lotus feet? O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant, so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes, my words always glorify those attributes, and my body always engage in the loving service of your Lordship. Very, very different, important perspective which Vritrasur is bringing us here. What is he aspiring for? Will I again be able to be a servant of your eternal servants who find shelter only at your lotus feet? He's bringing the mood of Das Anu Das Anu Das Anu Das, and he's aspiring to be there. He's not saying that I want to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead's abode. He's asking, I want to be the servant of the servant of the servant. And now when someone is aspiring for that position, he is qualified to be the pearl necklace on the chest on the neck of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because he is not only thinking about, we were just discussing in Wednesday class, what is Kanishta Adhikari and what is Madhyama Adhikari. The Kanishta Adhikari is specifically focusing on, me and Lord. He doesn't want to respect devotees. And at that platform, we cannot unfortunately reach the ultimate goal of life. And this is what Vritrasur is mentioning. Prabhupada is mentioning in that verse, I'm just covering some aspect of that. Under his direction, one must then engage one's three properties, namely body, mind, and words. The body should be engaged in physical activity under the order of the master, and mind should think of Krishna incessantly, and one's words should be engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord. How do we utilize? Again, we are talking, what is the path one has to follow to actually become perfected soul and be a continuous associate of the Lord. It is about engaging when we are even at the conditioned state. We were talking in the verse today, Prabhupada talking about there are two kind of living entities, right? So we are at the conditioned state. We have been given the body, mind, and intelligence to utilize in Lord's service. And how do we use our body, mind, and words? That is what is being spoken here by Srila Prabhupada. Because one, when attains, oh, you know what, I want to reach there. For an example, one who wants to get an admission in IIT, he wants to actually understand, he wants to find with someone, hey, how did you get there? Can you tell me? Like for an example, when I was appearing for Google some year back, I had one of my friend, I reached out to him, hey, can you tell me what all exactly they ask? I want to know how did you crack the interview? Can you tell me the process? So here the process is being mentioned by Srila Prabhupada. How can we be at the neck of the Lord as a pearl necklace? Which is by engaging our body, mind, and words. Text 25, again Vritrasura's prayer. Oh my Lord, source of all opportunities, I do not desire to enjoy in Dhruva Loka, the heavenly planets, or the planet where Lord Brahma resides. Nor do I want to be the supreme ruler of all the earthly planets or lower planetary systems. I do not desire to be the master of the powers of mystic yoga. Nor do I want liberation if I have to give up your lotus feet. This is a beautiful line which I heard. Until we are completely fed up of the material world, until we are completely we are completely dejected by material life, and we have not a single material desire. We are so much desiring to actually get out of this material world, thinking about that this material world has nothing to offer. And by Krishna's mercy, one or the other person comes to that opportunity. Now it's a time to utilize that opportunity to go one step closer to Krishna. And at the same time being mindful about, because even by personally taking the darshan of the Lord, King Chitraketu got distracted. So I was hearing His Grace Radhesham Prabhu was talking about, and this is also mentioned in His Holiness Shivran Maharaj's book, what is the difference between Uttam Adhikari and Uttama Bhakta? Uttam Adhikari can also be at the stage of Bhava and he may still fall down. But Uttama Bhakta is at the stage of Prema from where nobody falls down. That is the platform. So because we are not qualified to be at that platform, we are practicing Bhakta. One time, I'll skip that and we'll come to this verse, right? So in text 26, he's saying, oh, lotus-eyed Lord. This is very beautiful. How do we actually understand what should be the focus? As baby birds that have not yet developed their wings always look for their mother to return and feed them. As small calves tied with ropes await anxiously the time of milking, when they will be allowed to drink the milk of their mother. Or as a morose wife whose husband is away from home always longs for him to return and satisfy her in all respect. Chitraketu, he's saying, I always yearn for the opportunity to render direct service unto you. That is the mood. That is the mood. I'm always in anxiety, most of us. And one or the other day, the material world gives us so much suffering that we are in anxiety of so many things. That anxiety has to be transformed for spiritual life. That anxiety should be, I did not chant my rounds attentively. That anxiety should be, I did not read. The anxiety should be, I did not attend Sunday feast. The anxiety should be, I did not dress the deities properly. The anxiety should be, did I do my service properly or not? That is what is being spoken. Now, I want to bring in one important aspect, and I want to talk about what was Prahlad Maharaj's mood when he saw Lord Nrsimhadev. This is Canto 7, Chapter 9, Text 8. Prahlad Maharaj prays, how is it possible for me who have been born in a family of Asuras to offer suitable prayers to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Even until now, all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma And all the saintly person could not satisfy the Lord by streams of excellent words. Although such persons are very qualified, being in the mode of goodness, then what is to be said of me? I am not at all qualified. Here King Chitraketu Maharaj is seeing the beautiful form of the Lord, but because he developed pride and then he uses that position to actually correct Lord Shiva, here Prahlad Maharaj is personally seeing the darshan of Lord Nrsimhadev, but he is specifically mentioning about, I have no qualification to even see the beautiful form of the Lord, because I am born in even these wonderful devatas. Narada Muni is there, Lord Brahma is there. Even they are not able to pacify Lord Nrsimhadev after killing Hiranyakashipu. And they are approaching, even Mother Lakshmi is not able to satisfy, and they are requesting Prahlad Maharaj to go and pacify the Lord. And Prahlad Maharaj is showing his humble position that I have no qualification to even see your darshan, my dear Lord. He's saying in text 16, O most powerful, insurmountable Lord, who are kind to the fallen souls. No, this is very important. This is a prayer one has to offer to develop that humility we were talking about. I've been put into the association of demons as a result of my activities. And therefore, I'm very much afraid of my condition of life within this material world. When will that moment come when you will call me to the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the ultimate goal for the liberation from conditioned life? We are, at least I talk about myself, so exhausted, so occupied thinking about which college my kids will go, what education they will do, whether they'll become doctor, whether they'll become engineer. It doesn't matter. When they become engineer, then the next milestone comes, which property we will buy, which bank account we will open, how many investment we will do I have enough funds for the college for grandsons now? So there is no end to this anxiety. But here Prahlad Maharaj is talking about what is his anxiety? When will that moment come from when you will call me to the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the ultimate goal for liberation? The goal of Krishna consciousness is about developing that consciousness like Prahlad Maharaj, following or emulating these wonderful souls, to aspire and to pray intensely to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm just requesting and begging all of you that please help me develop that mood that I have nothing to do in this material world. I have no connection here. The soul is entrapped in this body. The soul, Kishore Prabhu says a beautiful point. We are all as brilliant as sun. But now imagine a sun is put into a box. So this body is like a box, limiting what we can do from the soul. Prabhupada talks about utility is the principle. So we have been given this bodily platform to actually utilize this. This is the best use of bad bargain, to actually free the soul from the bondage of material suffering and birth, old age, disease, and death, and to ultimately reach there from where we never return. In text 22, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, I'll probably end with these two verses. My dear Lord, O Supreme Great, you have created this material world of 16 constituents, but you are transcendental to these material qualities. In other words, these material qualities are under your full control and you are never conquered by them. Therefore, the time element is your representation. My Lord, O Supreme, no one can conquer you. As for me, however, I am being crushed by the wheel of time. I was just hearing Tuesday class, his great Shamanand Krishna Prabhu was mentioning about the mood of Narottam Das Thakur. He is praying that when will that day come? When I develop love for you? Here Prahlad Maharaj is saying, as for me, however, I'm being crushed by the wheel of time. Unfortunately, I talk about myself. I think, you know what, the salary is being deposited in my account and I have these investments. I'm in a good shape. I'm never thinking about when will that day come when I'm separated from all these designations. and unfortunately ready to take next birth and again start all over again, A, B, C, D, E. And therefore I surrender fully unto you. Now kindly take me under the protection of your lotus feet. My dear Lord, text 28, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires one after another, I was gradually falling into the blind. I am gradually falling, talking about, because they are representing us, falling into the blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as your disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? What is the mood here? We have no qualification. One time, one disciple asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what is our qualification? Prabhupada said, you had no qualification. Actually, Prabhupada is telling souls like me, I have no qualification to be here. Who made the qualification? His divine grace and our spiritual master. One thing which continuously comes to my mind, what is the qualification for Nayan Sundari to go back to Godhead? Well, many, but the most important aspect is pleasing her Guru. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado yasya prasada nagati kutopi. Dhyayam stuvam sasya yashastri sandhyam vande guru shri charanaravidam. Pleasing the spiritual master is a way which is sure shot, a way to reach back to Godhead. And not only that, but just not getting deviated from the path. My spiritual master was mentioning in this class, we have to fight battle every day, every moment. But what is winning for us? The winning for us in that battle is we still be faithful to Krishna and Guru. Whatever happens in our life, by the will or providence of time, our spirituality, our practices are tested. In spite of whatever circumstances we are in, how much shelter are we taking? I was just thinking about it. My spiritual, I think, Prabhuji, you were mentioning in Wednesday class, by taking the bath in Mother Yamuna, our piety is also destroyed. We are scared of losing our piety because somehow whatever is happening on a better side is just because of our good karma. If that is also destroyed, where would we go? But unfortunately, the qualification we need to get there is we have to nullify everything. And that is the whole life. When we dedicate our life and time, when we dedicate our time, when we dedicate our effort, spending our time in these services on these festival days, just one desire. When will that moment come when you will pick me? That beautiful picture Lord Chaitanya is showing here, which is, I represent that a fallen soul is actually in the ocean of suffering, drowning. And the Lord is just praying while drowning, when will you pick me up and put me at your lotus feet as a dust particle? Please forgive me. I don't have adhikar to actually talk about these prayers. I don't have adhikar to actually discuss this highly topics of King Chitraketu and Vritrasur. But I wanted to utilize this opportunity to purify my own existence and at the same time pray to your lotus feet that I also develop that desire and I never get distracted in my Krishna consciousness and I intensify my Krishna consciousness with every moment. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Would you like to add something here, Prabhuji? Bhagavad Prabhu, would you like to add something? Any comments anyone wants to add today?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for a very, very deep class. If you say you have no adhikar, I don't know what can we say. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for sharing so many deep points to meditate on. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Krishna.
Really very grateful to you for sharing such a powerful class and reminding what we should do and how we should stay there. Thank you so much. It is only by the prayers and blessings of devotees that it's possible. Just requesting Prabhuji, please pray for us. Please pray for me, Prabhuji.
Muraya Bilash Vilas Kunje Diovas Nayane Haribo Sada Yugala Ruparashi. Our shelter is Tulsi Maharani. When we pray every day or every Sunday, whatever day, she can give us that adhikar. None of us have that adhikar, at least from my perspective. But she can offer us wonderful, sublime seva adhikar diye koro nijadasi. Thank you. Any other points or comments?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for a wonderful class.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you for speaking from your heart.
Thank you, Prabhu. I think we are over time. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.